Hi. When working with a dataset, you may not, so to speak, want the whole enchilada. In other words, you might only want to use some subset of the data. For example, in the previous video, when you were populating a new data field, perhaps you would want to use different formulas for certain subsets of the data. ArcGIS Pro accommodates this kind of thing by letting you select those features that, at any given time, are of interest. ArcGIS Pro allows you to select features by either interacting directly with the map or by working with the attribute tables. If interacting with the map, make sure that the Map tab is selected at the top of the screen. Then, in the ribbon area, click on the Select icon. At this point, there are a couple of techniques you can use. You can select any individual feature by clicking on it. If you wish to have multiple features selected, hold down the Shift key and then click on all the features of interest. For a more rough and ready approach, click and drag a box on the map. Any feature that falls either fully or partially within the box will be selected. Whenever you have the map feature selected, any changes you make to your datasets will be applied only to the selected features. If that's what you intend, this is a good thing. However, people sometimes forget or overlook the fact that they have features selected and thereby end up making changes other than they intended, and that is a bad thing. For this reason, once you no longer have a reason to have features selected, it's always a good idea to clear your selection. You can do this by clicking on the Clear icon on the ribbon for the Map tab. As I mentioned earlier, you can also select features from within the attribute tables. To demonstrate this, let's open the attribute table for the Aquifer dataset. As a reminder, right-click on the layer name in the Contents window, and then select Attribute Table. Within the attribute table, you can select a feature by clicking on its line number at the left side of the table. While picking multiple features from the map requires holding down the Shift key, doing so in the attribute table calls for holding down the Control key. Personally, I don't think this makes much sense, but that's just the way it is. By clicking and dragging your cursor over a series of line numbers, you can select a group of consecutive lines. I stated earlier that any operations you perform will only apply to your selected features. Let's put this to the test. In the attribute table, right-click on the header for the TV field. Then click on Statistics. Based upon the count numbers in the resulting distribution graph, you can see that it only reflects the selected features and not the entire dataset. At the same time as we generated the distribution graph, a Chart Properties window with various options for modifying your distribution graph appeared on the right side of the screen. This window provides statistical information for both the selected features and the dataset as a whole. While it may have appeared that your catalog window, which you usually see at the right side of the screen, has disappeared, once you close the Chart Properties window, you will find that the catalog window was just hidden behind it. Let's now close the tab for the distribution graph. Any selections you make will be reflected in both the attribute table and on the map. To see this, in the Contents window, zoom to the Aquifer layer. Although it's difficult to see with the resulting map scale, you can see features outlined in blue on the map, corresponding to the records that we have selected in the attribute table. If your selected features are scattered within the attribute table, it can be difficult to view them all. Fortunately, there's an icon along the bottom edge of the attribute table that, when clicked, will cause only the records for the selected features to be displayed. By clicking on the adjacent icon, all of the records will be displayed again. At this time, simply as a generally good practice, let's clear our selections. You can do this using either the Clear icon at the top of the attribute table or the equivalent icon in the ribbon for the Map tab. You can also select features on the basis of their attributes. To do this, in the ribbon for the Map tab, click on the Select by Attributes icon. Also note that an equivalent icon appears at the top of the attribute table. Upon clicking on the icon, a pop-up window appears in which you can specify the conditions you wish to apply to identify your features of interest. For input rows, confirm that you wish to select features from the Aquifer dataset. For selection type, since we want to select features from the entire dataset, keep this set to New Selection. ArcGIS Pro allows you to establish a wide array of conditions for selecting records. For this example, I will select Descript as the field to use in making selections. I will further stipulate that this field should contain the text string karst limestone. Then, to select your records, click on OK. Looking at the map, you can see that the karst limestone aquifers are concentrated in the Florida Panhandle and along the Gulf Coast. Again, in accordance with proper operating procedures, clear your selections by clicking on one of the Clear icons. Since we are done with this exercise, go ahead and close the tab for the attribute table. In the next video, I will spend a little time explaining how to change the appearance of the layers in your maps.